Hello, good morning. I hope that you're all well and that you've had a good week. I've had a nice week. It's been busy, but I like being busy. I couldn't do a floss tube yesterday morning because my studio was piled high with boxes of stock for Mrs. Parkman's Academy of Needlework. For several days now, I have been pricing up items for the boutique, and it takes a long time writing out price labels and applying them to items. It's going to be a great boutique at the event. We have got hundreds and hundreds of yards of linen, and we have over 3,000 spools of silk. The attendees are going to have great fun shopping in the boutique. Sue and I can't wait. This week I didn't stitch every night, but I did get a couple of nights stitching in, and what I've realised is that I sleep so much better when I have stitched in the evenings. Now I haven't done any more work on Alice's second sampler because I was finishing off the new start I showed you last week, which is AWE. This is a delightful sampler. The bottom half of it is so pretty, and it makes the little sampler different from other red primers. Very, very pretty. It was worked in 1888 by AWE. We had a little trouble working out what this letter was, but after consulting many books on different fonts, that is an E, so it's AWE, whoever that is. Very pretty. Now I didn't go back to Alice when I finished AWE. I started this little sampler. Now this sampler is a free download for friends of Hands Across the Sea samplers. If you're not a member of that Facebook group, apply to join. All are welcome, and it's a very active group. Now I've stitched this exactly as charted, and the download for this sampler has the little girl's name going across here and some motifs. Last night I decided that I'm going to change what goes into this section, and it's going to read Nicola's Red Room or the Red Sampler Room. I haven't decided. One of the things I'm going to do this afternoon is chart this. I have a particular font in mind, so I need to see what will fit. I'm going to have this framed in a very narrow black frame, and I'm going to have a hanging string, and I'm going to put this on the door that leads into my red sampler room. There we go. That's what I've been doing this week with my needle. Some things I need to mention before I move on, in case I forget, that there's only a few days left to place your pre-order for our 2026 calendar. It's a beautiful calendar, lovely laminated gloss front, and some beautiful illustrations of samplers within. This is Charlotte Mash's sampler. Now, Charlotte was stitched using Painter's Threads overdyed Soie 103 to a shade of Waterhouse, and it's very, very difficult to capture how these colours look through the lens of a camera, but it's beautiful. It looks a bit green in this sampler, but it's actually a black that has flashes of deep blue and deep green. I'm so pleased how this little sampler turned out. Now this sampler we will be releasing at Swindon in 3 weeks' time, but it will go on general sale immediately after the event, and it will be available by PDF or printed booklet. I love the verse on this sampler. It says, "All of you, my friends, who now expect to see piece of marking that's performed by me. Cast but a smile on this my first endeavour. I'll strive to learn and be obedient ever. To be happy is to be good. Isn't that lovely? You would fall in love with this sampler just because of that verse. When I was writing the booklet for Charlotte, I did have a chuckle. Her surname is Mash, and it turned out that her father was a potato merchant and she married a potato merchant. I thought Mash was a super name to tie in with that occupation. When I was writing Charlotte's booklet, I found some words came to me when I was taking a shower. I often have ideas and thoughts come to me when I'm having a nice long hot shower. And they're words that I've been trying to find for a very long time to describe what a sampler is. And those are, as a surviving textile, Charlotte's sampler is a witness to the past. Unlike written documents authored by men, samplers were made by girls, many of whom left no diaries, letters, or published works. The stitches themselves carry evidence of the girl's hand, her spacing, her choice of motif, and her perseverance through error. In this way, the sampler is not a generic artefact, but an individual trace of a lived experience. Remembering Charlotte through her sampler is not only an act of historical recovery, but also an ethical gesture recognising the humanity of those whose stories are seldom told. A sampler, once routine, becomes extraordinary because it allows one life, otherwise silent in the archives, to be glimpsed, acknowledged and honoured. I think that sums up why samplers are special to me. Why are samplers special to you? What draws you to reproduction samplers? I love all forms of needlework, but reproduction samplers, they get me there every time. Anyway, I got a bit diverted then, didn't I? Going back to your calendar. When I start shipping the calendars, you will receive a PDF download of a very sweet little red sampler and to be stitched as a blessing sampler. It's one I love. It's one I've stitched. So there we are. 30th of September is the cut-off date for ordering or pre-ordering the sampler. This week I've had some beautiful linen come from Swan Bay. This is Eleanor's Ivory and the colour is gorgeous. Beautiful warm colour but clean, fresh and crisp. Any palette of colours is going to look so beautiful on this linen. We've got quite a few models in production on Swan Bay Fabrics. I ordered some items from Suzanne, which I mentioned last week. They've come and this is my favourite item. It's a little case that's all cross-stitched around. Very, very pretty. It's got, it's a jewellery case really, but the inside can be modified and used for needlework items. This is part of my Christmas shopping. I like to give needlework items as gifts for Christmas to my needlework friends. Now I know this is going to sound absolutely awful because useful work was such a long time ago now, but I'm still unpacking my suitcases. I've just been so busy since I've got home. And this week I unpacked some needlework goodies. This was an item I received as a gift at Useful Work. Isn't it beautiful? My heart stopped when I saw this. So, so pretty. It's a pin cushion, a really nice weighty pin cushion. It's just adorable. I'm so grateful to the lady who gave this to me. Does it say who it was made by? There we go. It's Hartwell's Deborah Hardwick. Gorgeous, and it's so beautifully made as well. I unpacked some new strawberries. Can't resist a strawberry. So beautiful. Love those, and they'll go with my collection. Now, what else came this week? I had some antique samplers come. Had quite a few antiques arrive in the last few weeks. I love samplers with connections, and several weeks ago I spotted 2 samplers come up for sale. They were with the same auctioneer but in 2 different auctions, and they were stitched by sisters, and I thought, sister samplers, they have to be kept together, and I was very lucky. I managed to acquire both of them, and they are from Norfolk, and those 2 samplers will be reproduced probably towards the end of next year, 2027. We work a long way in advance, but it's our privilege to reunite sister samplers. A few weeks ago on eBay, there were 2 samplers advertised together, and there was no real information about them, but in the description they were described as stitched by cousins. And these are Welsh samplers. Whilst they might not look very interesting through non-reflective glass and lots of aging, there is actually, when you look at these samplers, a lot of beauty in the dividing rows, and the colours, although dirty, are very interesting. I shall be taking these out of their frames and exploring the back to see what the original colours were. Welsh samplers are traditionally very vibrant. The Welsh, and I can say this because I am Welsh, are very colourful people. It's stitched in wool, which is what you would expect for a Welsh sampler. And I have found these 2 girls, and they weren't cousins, they were actually sisters. So that's another 2 sister samplers. Looking forward to reproducing those. I've been giving thought this week to what my stitching is going to be leading up to Christmas. A little while ago, it was earlier this year, time goes so quickly, I acquired this sampler, and I think that this is going to be a beautiful sampler to work on in the lead up to Christmas. There's something very, very Christmassy about this sampler. Not only the reds and the greens, but sort of like all these border patterns, like the red flowers. It just makes you think of Christmas. Very, very pretty. I love samplers that have border patterns on. They're very therapeutic to work. There's so many reasons why I choose to stitch a sampler. It could be the backstory, it could be the colours, it could be the border, it could be the type of stitching that's good for my sew. It depends what mood I'm in to what I stitch, and I think this is going to be absolutely delightful. When you look at this sampler, you think it's red and green, but there are different shades of green in this sampler. You've got 1 shade of green there. You've got 2 more shades of green here. It's going to be fun exploring and studying this sampler. It's all the same shade of red right through. It's easy to miss that little border. That's very pretty. Can't wait. That is something that I'm going to start to reproduce as soon as possible. I was dusting a sampler wall this week, and I'm going to do some rearranging because I want to have some samplers that are Christmassy next to my stitching chair from November onwards. And I was thinking, what am I going to put there? So far I've decided I'm putting Amelia Jane Chandler on that wall because this is a very Christmassy sampler because of the colours. Amelia was a sampler I reproduced in the early months of COVID and is available only as a PDF download. That's a fun sampler to stitch in the lead up to Christmas, and it's all cross stitch over 2, so very doable for Ada and linen stitchers. Another lovely Christmassy sampler is Harriet Goddard. I love the reindeer at the bottom. Harriet is available as a PDF download and as a printed booklet, and I love the size and the shape of this sampler. Very useful, you know, to fill those odd spaces on a sampler wall, and visually so very, very pleasing. And definitely Christmassy. The other sampler I'm going to put on my Christmas wall is Mary Ann Preece. Now, whilst that might not immediately speak Christmas to you, there's lovely splashes of red and green, and you've got the 2 reindeers, but I think it is the pyramid shape of the alphabet placing that really speaks to me as Christmas. I think that's so pretty. A delightful little sampler, won't take long to stitch at all, and it's available as a PDF and as a printed booklet. One of the little samplers I'm going to move to make room for one of those on that particular wall just for November and December is an original design, Where Flowers Bloom, So Does Hope. When I moved this sampler, it brought back some lovely memories of planning this sampler out and choosing these glorious colours. These colours are so pretty. I love colour. Colour is a very, very important part of my life. A lot of my decisions and choices, or actions are made because of colours. Very, very pretty. This is a PDF download, and everybody should personalise it with their name and the date that they stitched this. Very, very pretty. When Christmas is over, that's going to go back in its normal spot. I've still got some more samplers to pull that are Christmassy for that wall. Yeah, gosh, I think that is about all I had to show you today. Week ahead, still be around working on Swindon. My presentation is completely finished. It's all printed out. It's in a portfolio that will hardly shut because it's bulging. We've got a lot of content at Swindon. My visual presentation has been uploaded to iCloud and a backup copy has gone to my phone. We've got lots of interesting slides to look at the weekend. The weekend is based on a Victorian classroom. We're going back to Victorian times, and we're going to be working no, I'm not going to say because I don't want to give too much away. Don't want to spoil it. I love surprises. Okay, right. Next weekend, I think I might have mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but just in case I didn't, there will be no Flosstube. I am judging at a show next weekend. The weekend after that, I do hope to make a Flosstube because the weekend after that is Swindon, and I don't think I'll be having time to do a Flosstube that weekend. Until 2 weeks' time, stay well, stay safe. Bye-bye.